Welcome everyone on today's webinar about how to make the onboarding and training and global rollouts for Polarion ALM solution in a fast and easy way with the technology that's called Newired. What we want to do today is that I want to start with a little introduction about who we are, what we do. Then I want to dive deeper into the actual product, give you also a live demo, how it works here and there. And then we'll speak really about the differentiators, or not just differentiators, but different reasons why to choose Newired as a digital adoption platform. What are the benefits to the more traditional approaches? And as I said, we will finish with the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. The webinar will last approximately 45 minutes or 30 to 45 minutes. So, Newired, who we are, our mission is actually to close or at least reduce the gap, the distance between technology, between software like Polarion and us people, users that are using quite often a complex products like Polarion. And if you ask why this is important, why we believe that this such a technology like Newired is important to be on the market, it's because in reality, many times the software products are introduced, which is often called the digital transformation, that you often roll out the technology that, let's say, enhance the digitalization in your company. These projects fail. According to Gartner, it's actually 75%. What means fail? Fail means that the expected results are not delivered, the ROI is not delivered in the full scope. Simply, it's not real success. And if you ask yourself, actually, what does it really mean from the end user perspective, like from the user perspective? It means something that we probably all know, that people needs to be enabled, onboarded, or trained on a given technology like Polarion, but also like HR system like Workday. And so we train them. Then the people forget, actually not the people forget, we all forget what we learn. That's just normal. So we need to be retrained. Then the change comes. I mean, you change the configuration of the workflow, you change the let's say the way how you process your requirements in Polarion, and then comes the frustration because something that you have been already trained twice doesn't work as before. So you need to let's say retrain the people again. And we believe that it's time to actually change this. It's time to think about the learning and onboarding process differently. And that's why we have rolled out to the market the solution which is called Newired, especially with a product called Newired Journeys, which let you actually to attach an interactive step-by-step guidance to Polarion, or actually to any web application. So we bring the concept of learn by doing directly in the application, not miles away, like reading the manuals, videos, etc. And before I will continue with my, let's say, slides, I would like to give you a short demo how such an interactive tutorial works inside of Polarion interface. And to do so, I'll go not further than to the official ALM demo server provided by Siemens as a standard technology to let anyone to experience the Polarion for the first time. Actually, you log in, and if you would log in the first time, it will automatically start this panel. This is the panel, welcome to Polarion, that you don't probably see on your Polarion interface, because that's what has been added to Polarion via Newired technology. If I start that, it actually starts with the onboarding procedure. So the first chapter introduces the concept of how what means the collaboration process in Polarion. It gives me the on-screen instructions, what to do. So I'm told here to click open on Drive Pilot. It explains me that this is a Polarion project, that I should click first on requirements. So I click here on requirements. And it really guides me actually step by step through this onboarding procedure. I should click here on the system requirement specification. I click here and it will actually explain, or it explains me what is being loaded. This is a live document similar to Office 365. Every change is being tracked. So you see that I'm really, let's say, guided what is on the screen, but it also, I'm getting the instructions to do, like please click here, and you see that I click here and the system automatically recognizes that I click there, and it explains to me that now we are in the tree view. So I'm guided inside of the tool. I don't need to watch the videos, I don't need to read the manuals. It really helps me to get onboarded, to understand what I should do directly in the application. Of course, there can be many, let's say, tutorials like that. And it's not only here to explain how something actually is implemented in Polarion, but I can also invoke the menu and run through the, let's say, through a procedure. So for example, create your first project. So this is a tutorial that actually guides me through the process of creating of a specific project. So I should review all the data here. I should click next here and expand the list and continue. So you see the instructions can be also very use case specific, and everything happens in a tool not miles away. Now, if you go back to the slides, what does it really bring? So first, it helps me to promote the changes faster, because if I know that the people are being trained, or if I know that I can change the configuration, and anytime I change it, I can instantly explain it to the user, I'm not afraid to actually change the processes. But we also see that they actually improve data quality. We'll speak about it later, that one of the benefits the customers actually see is not just that the people are being trained, but because the people are being trained, the data accuracy is actually better with or after introducing such an onboarding platform into Polarion. Now, let's speak really about some of the capabilities, some of the features that I found important. And let's start with something which says simple to use, but robust. And you know what, instead of just, let's say, speaking again in the slides, let me go live. And instead of going to Polarion in my Chrome browser, I want to show you a technology called Newired Editor, and it's actually here on this screen. So what is the Newired Editor? You know, we know that part of the success of the solutions like Polarion is that it is adjusted for the processes that you have implemented in Polarion. And so also the guidance, the onboarding should not happen over a tool, but it should happen over your configuration, over your process that you set up in Polarion. So if it is you who is configuring Polarion, it should be also you who define the guides. So we decided we need you, or we need to provide you not just with a solution to have these guides and tutorials for Polarion, but we want to give you a solution that actually let you create these guides without any coding, with a graphical solution called Newired Editor. And this is what we see here. The Newired Editor is a desktop application that actually embeds the browser. But here I see my journeys that we have created or we have seen live in the live, let's say, system. And I want now to actually show you how easy it is to create such a tutorial, because let's say this is much better than to speak long about it. So I want to create a tutorial, we call it journey, how to create a work package. So a simple one. Usually you start, the journey is a set of steps. The first step, I want just to introduce what the people will learn. The first step is really just the introduction. So I will say, welcome. You will learn this and that. I'm lazy. Okay, now more fun. The real first step should be that we'll tell the people to click here on work items. So I want to add a new step, which is a call out. So I want to tell them click here. So actually you want them to click there, and we want this to be here on the right side. Now this is probably okay. So this is the first step. The second step should be that we want to click to let them click on this plus symbol. So again, add new step, add a call out. Here I select my plus symbol. You see, I visually selected no coding, no technical, let's see, structure behind. I select it. Again, I want the user to actually click on it. We can change it, click on plus. Good. What's next? We want them to click on the work package. So again, add a new call out. I select the work package. I put it here on the right side. And now it's simple. They should just fill in the title. So again, a call out, type here, enter the title. And the last step would be probably, so they click on create button. So again, I select here the create. We want them to click on it. We push it here to the top. Okay, here we confirm the changes. And in approximately 2 minutes, we have created this tutorial in the solution called Newired Editor. And of course, to really prove that everything works correctly, we want to play it, we want to test it, that it works fine. I can do it directly here in my studio, in my editor. So we have this first step, welcome. The next step is I should click here on work items. Next, I should click here on the plus. I should click on work package. I should enter the title. And the last step is I should click here on the create symbol. Done. I've been showing you really an example which was quite simple, of course, that every one of you can actually see in your Polarion interface because you have this all functions available. But of course, you can imagine that the real value about a solution like that is that you can create guides and tutorials that really speak about your flows, about your procedures, about your approval process in a document, about your system level testing, etc. And let me go back to slides. So actually I was speaking about how simple is it. But you know, we aim high. We think that it must be easy and simple, but it must be robust. What means robust? Robust means that if you know Polarion a bit more and you are maybe on the technical side, you may know that with every version of Polarion, the so-called HTML IDs are changing. The class names are changing. So with every new Polarion version, the HTML structure is slightly different. And it would be terrible if you would need to redo your guides over and over again. Every 6 months, there is a new version of Polarion. So what we do, we make it possible to configure Newired against the target platform, because Newired is not just technology for Polarion. So we provide the same guides for HR system Workday, for CRM system Viva CRM, Salesforce, HubSpot, and others. So we can configure the Newired specifically for the target application. So the content author that is actually creating the journeys can do it easily with just this visual interface, but the outcome will be robust. So you don't need to redo these guides over and over and over again with every new version, or if the process changes here and there, or if there is a new version of a browser, etc. Okay, you probably ask yourself, okay, what are these guys doing? Do they actually collect the way how we work? How secure is it from data privacy point of view, from user privacy, from GDPR point of view, etc. So first, the same as Polarion, we know that you value your IP, you value your privacy, so we allow you to host these or the platform, the Newired platform, fully on your premises or in our cloud. It's up to you which option you select. So it can be installed fully on your premises. And let's say we can deploy Newired, so we absolutely do not collect any personal data, even if it is installed on your premises. Even you don't collect any let's say data of your users, so you collect no data. We have some analytical systems, so you will see it maybe later that I can also measure how much are the journeys actually being used, who is using it and when, but this is strictly non-personal. So from the security and privacy point of view, the system fully fits the enterprise environments and the enterprise requirements that are so common in the Polarion target market. Content publishing and the workflows. This is an interesting topic because you know, workflows are quite important, let's say, capabilities in Polarion platform itself. And just by chance, actually, what is the fact that behind the Newired company, let's say the founders have been connected with the Polarion history. So many of the founders of Newired actually come from the Polarion venture. So we really understand how much the workflows are important for some of the industries like medical, aerospace, automotive, where we sometimes understand that if you are training people over a standard operating procedure, you need to actually make sure that the training itself is electronically signed, it's versioned, so you have a proof that the way how the people are being trained and enabled has been reviewed and is actually correct. That's why we have implemented into our Newired system also robust but simple publishing workflows. What I mean is that actually, if I would go into a browser again, I can open the so-called Newired portal. The Newired portal is actually a solution where I see all the different versions of my content. So what I actually see that with every version I publish, with every modification I do, the system automatically creates a new version. Actually, what I can also do, I can manage multiple different projects. So if I search, for example, for another project for a guidance over the CRM system, I see again that every project has the versions. And what I can do, I can actually also export the full version into an Office document that actually specifies exactly how the guides are being implemented. It takes a minute because you see that the content can be also translated into multiple languages. So let's wait a minute. Now I have downloaded the actual content. In this case, I'm using a slightly smaller example than for Polarion. And what we'll see here is that such a file contains the definition of every single guide and tutorial. And for every single step, we have the content, so let's see the text, but we also have a screenshot of how it looks on each and every step. So this document can be actually stored in your document management system, electronically approved, and you can confirm that the way how you actually enabled or trained the people is fully, let's say, according to your standard operating procedure definitions. So long story short, we provide workflows how you can review changes before they can go live. So anything you change in the editor needs to go through the review. You can roll back to previous changes. If something goes wrong, you can adjust this and roll back, or you can roll back to the previous version, make some adjustments, and publish the changes live. You can test on different browsers. You can share it with the focus group. You have some testers that needs to review it first. So we provide the publishing workflows to make sure that all the content is fully reviewed before it goes live. Multi-application support. In real life, you don't want people to be actually trained on an application. You want the people to be actually trained on onboarded on a specific use case, on a specific standard operating procedure. And the standard operating procedure can involve multiple tools. This may be a wrong example for this webinar. The real example would be you maybe have the PLM ALM integration, and you want to start by creating a change request in Teamcenter. And then you go to Polarion and you want to process or create a software level change request in Polarion. And then you go back into the Teamcenter and you adjust, I don't know, the workflow status that the software change request has been already started or requested. So you have a procedure that actually involves multiple tools. Polarion, Teamcenter, Polarion Jira, Polarion GitHub. So with Newired Editor, you can create guides that actually work across multiple tools, because that's what your people need, that's what your people do, that the use cases need to work with a tool chain. And we have a native coverage for such a need and for such a, let's say, request. Multi-language support. We already touched that you have seen that when we export the content in multiple languages. So if we speak about a multi-application support, we know that your Polarion likely speaks only English, but your people, your employees may speak different languages, and it's fair, actually, or with Newired is extremely easy to plug in a translation of these guides and tutorials, so these callouts, these on-screen instructions speak a different language. Of course, technically speaking, if you have an application different to Polarion, for example, Trello, that actually is translated, we also support the translation of the target applications, but it's a different story. This is not, let's say, needed for Polarion customers. So how does it really work? I'm saying it's simple. What is it? So if you go back into our system, remember, so I was showing you today, this is my Chrome browser, we have Polarion running in the Chrome, and I have these on-screen instructions available as an end user in my Chrome. For the content authors, we have a Newired Editor, a solution to create these guides. And the last component of what I was showing you, we have also a solution to actually manage the content, the versions, etc. If you go back into our site, which we have been launching in the Chrome, I go to translations. I can actually set up the translation into my native Czech language, okay? I can download now the package. So I download the translation package, I send it to the translation agency. I send it to the translation department. What they do, they use the industry standard tools to perform a translation. So they don't need to be trained on Newired. They use the industry standard tools because we have exported the content into the XLIF file. I can use the machine learning translation, so I can actually just use these tools to actually provide the automated translation. I save it, so I'm now a translator. I send it back to a journey manager. He or she will receive it via email. She goes to the management interface, she uploads the translation, and that's it. So the system fully supports the translation workflows. The translators do not need to be trained on Newired. They even do not need to be trained on Polarion. All what they need to do is just perform the translation using the industry standard tools. If you are not a translator, there are free tools that we can recommend. they ensure the database or the translation database, the machine learning support, etc. So it's also something that we see as a great benefit of our platform, that we provide the, let's say, the support for translations. Transparent, easy to try and fair pricing model. That's actually, if you would go to our website, you will find an official price list. You can just, let's say, go there and see how much we charge. We are one of the few vendors that we actually in the digital adoption space that actually are transparent about the prices. We think it's important. But if we speak about the pricing, let me also actually speak about some of the key numbers, key benefits that we actually collected from our customers. So first, we know that the customers report pretty huge savings on the internal, let's see, on the training. When you speak about the training and the costs, what are the key drivers? One of the driver, you remember in the beginning, I was saying that you need to train the people, then we all forget, we need to be retrained, and then there is a change, you need to be retrained again. We see that the customer are saying that they completely abandon the retraining activities. Sometimes they still have 1 or 2 hours of initial training of an application being done by the video if they really want to be very conservative. But let's say all the the retraining procedures are not completely in an automated way with Newired. And second, what they report, how they save the time / money, is that the way how easy it is to create the guide, and especially how to maintain it if there is a change, is easier to be done with Polarion than if you compare this with let's say, video management tools or even screen capturing tools, etc. The second big reason what we have collected from the customers is that once the system is deployed, so once the digital adoption solution like Newired is running on top of the Polarion, the people tend to use Polarion or any other platform more often. We have measured that after the 6 months from the initial rollout, and this was the customer that was already using the product for almost 2 years. So we are not just speaking about enabling new teams, onboarding new teams. We see that there are lots of use cases in Polarion that you perform once per month, once per 2 months, and you constantly forget, oh, how do I sign this document? I did it last time I did it was 3 months ago, and I don't remember it. And now I can just search this menu, how to approve document, and it guides me step by step. So this is not just about the let's see, the newbies. This is also about the existing customers or existing users, and we have seen that these existing people are using Polarion more likely and more often, actually 20% more interactions with the system after the introduction of Newired to the customer. And I've not been speaking about that much because I don't want to demonstrate too many functionalities, too many different features. We can have a one-on-one discussions after. But what you can do with Newired, you can also connect existing knowledge base with a Polarion. So we have seen in Polarion that I can create these, let's say, these guides like that. I can actually run through and see these little bubbles. And these callouts can be part of the journey, or they can be also standalone. We call them tips. And these tips can actually embed or just link to existing knowledge base. So you may have existing videos, you may have existing knowledge base articles, and you don't want to convert all of them into the executable journeys. And this is completely valid because, let's say, we value your time, and we see that if something was already explained in a nice video, why not to leverage that? But what we see is that the people are refusing to search for it. And if you create these tips in Polarion that just link or embed this documentation, the people actually see it. The people don't need to search for it. The Newired will push this information to the user anytime he or she needs that. And because of that, these videos, these knowledge base articles, there are 10 times more visited than if the people would need to search for it. This was a great benefit that the previous investment into the videos and knowledge base articles now suddenly makes sense, and the users are actually really accessing the content that in the past they would need to search for it. Now they find it anytime they need it in these, let's say, call outs instructions. So to wrap up, so we have still 10 minutes for Q&A session. We have a solution called Newired Journeys for user guidance and onboarding, then just works. To recap, simple to use, Newired Editor, so anyone can create these guides without any technical skills. Security and privacy. From day zero, we have been thinking about that and making sure that everything can be really, let's say, that is based on the enterprise standards. Basic but simple but robust workflows to ensure that what you create has been reviewed, tested, etc. It's not just for Polarion. It supports a tool chain, so Polarion Jira, Polarion and Active Workspace, but also other tools like HR systems, CRM systems, etc. Multi-language support, so it doesn't need to speak only one language. You can easily translate the content, and everything with pretty transparent, easy to try, and fair pricing model. That's what we want to present today, and I hope that you will have many questions. I know that usually the Polarion audience is open to ask questions, so please let's use the Q&A panel now and have some fluent discussion. I'll stop sharing and I'll open the Q&A panel now, and then if needed, I'll actually start sharing it again. So there is a question: is there a library of some basic Polarion journeys to easily import? Yes, yes and no. We have a library, we can share it with you. Actually, there is even, let me share my screen, okay, because this is a good question. So how can you evaluate it? I told you that you can download the editor so you can actually create these guides, but you all know that there is a site called extensions.polarion.com. If you go to extensionspolarion.com, you search for Newired, there is this ALM accelerator package. This is a package that actually bundles some basic Polarion journeys. If you get here to the product page, I hope it loads, you can just follow this guide, get the browser extension. So if I open it, I fill in the my data, I'll get the so-called browser extension, and the browser extension will allow me to actually see these sample journeys on top of your Polarion interface. You may ask, what is this browser extension? This is not what Iji was speaking about so far. And this is to explain it, we need to think about one technical step. And this means, how does it happen that a guide like this appears on top of my Polarion interface? There are two options. One option is, as I already said, we have a browser extension. You install a browser extension, and only the people that have the browser extension installed and that this browser extension is connected with actually with your content provider. So either on-premise deployment of Newired or our cloud server, it loads your journeys. So one option is to go via browser extension. The other option, this is, for example, that use on almdemo.polarion.com, because any one of you who opens this page will see these guides. This is because there is also a small JavaScript that you put into Polarion server, and this actually ensures that the guides are being integrated into the Polarion interface. So we have two options: a server-side integration or client-side integration. If you're asking if there are any let's say journeys available, yes, they are available. You can go here through the Polarion extension, search for Newired. But what I know that in reality, 90% of customers actually would need to have the journeys adjusted for the processes you have, because the biggest value of Polarion is the process, not the tool itself. Let's go to Q&A panel again. Do you support Atlas in Jira? Yes, as I said, we actually support any web-based technology. So actually, what it means is that you can create such a guides for any web-based platform. So I can go, for example, to our demo CRM system. This is not it. Which is a totally different technology, and we see that again the guides are running here on a completely different interface. So we support any web management system. It's straightforward. You can test it today. Is this solution a complete independent solution besides Polarion, or kind of a plugin? We would need another installation and some number about costs. So 2 questions. It is fully independent. It is not a Polarion plugin, because in reality, as I said, you can support a tool chain. You have 2 options. You either install it on your premises, on your infrastructure, or you can actually mix it. So you can have an on-premise Polarion. So you can have a Polarion that runs in your infrastructure, on your server, and you can have a Newired service that runs in our cloud. Because honestly, in our cloud, you will store only information like the guides itself, and maybe the guides can be stored on our servers, so you are not so much, let's say, afraid of storing the tutorials in the cloud. So this is how you can also easily start. So you can ask us to set up, let's say, a cloud server, a cloud demo server, and you can connect our cloud demo server with your Polarion infrastructure. So it is independent, but also usually I recommend start easy, start with our cloud infrastructure. If you decide to go forward, you will actually make a final decision. Do I want to host it on premises, or do I want to host it in our cloud? It is really up to you which one you choose. From the functionality point of view, it's 100% the same. I spoke about that we collect some of the information about the usage. So if we go here, for example, we see that we measure information like how many of these guides have been actually executed. If we open the specific so-called journey, we see how much time the people spent on each step, etc. So we also measure some analytics, but these analytics are strictly non-personal. No data from your systems are being collected on our server, no personal data. So even if you use our cloud, you can feel absolutely safe from the data privacy point of view. About the cost, as I said, the most easy way is to go to newired.com to the pricing page. On the pricing, we just need to explain a little, let's say, how we charge for our system. So we charge per user that is actually exposed to the guidance. So you have, I don't know, 500 people in your Polarion. You serve 500 people, you pay for these 500 people. So we don't charge for guide, we don't charge for the editor, we don't charge per number of guides. You simply say how many people do you have, and based on that, it actually gives you the amount of money you pay per year. So it's based on a number of users. On that, we also have a Polarion customers who started to use Newired to support Polarion users, but many of you who are Polarion customers, you develop your own software. Of course, some of you develop only embedded software, but many of you develop embedded and application software. And we also have an OEM licenses, so we have actual medical customers, for example, that creates a software that runs also in the hospitals, operated by doctors, and the customers that actually are using Newired also to improve digital adoption of the software they develop. So again, that's for you if you would like to have a similar technology to be used on top of the software you develop. Let me search the questions again. What browsers do you support? Technically speaking, we support any type of browser, including the mobile browsers on tablets. Let's see, the approved list is of course Chrome, Safari, Firefox, IEM, the Microsoft Edge. We don't test it on Opera because frankly we believe that this is not widely used in the enterprise environment. Let's see, we support any browser. There is also a question about which Polarion version do we support. As I spoke at the beginning, we don't connect to a particular version of a target application. It works with Polarion the same as it works with Jira, and because of that, actually, we need to support every Polarion version. And it goes even one way, let's say, deep, that we ensure that if you install a new version of Polarion, the guides should continue to work. So if Siemens creates a new version of Polarion, we don't need, or they don't need to redo these guides that are on the ALM demo server. I know that since the rollout, these journeys are running at least for the 3 consecutive releases without any modification. So we know that these guides are really 100% stable on their demo server. So Siemens is our customer already. Good. I'm sure that, let's say, there will be more questions to ask. What I would recommend really, I'm sure that our team will follow up on this webinar. We will send you some, let's see, the recording. We'll send you some questionnaire. How did you actually enjoy this webinar? Was it helpful? Yes, no. But if you find this solution interesting, if you are, let's say, would like to learn more, I would recommend to have a one-on-one session, and we will help you to evaluate it either via the browser extension or via our online demo server. And we can dive deep and train you a bit on our technology so you can evaluate it, run a POC, and start doing the trainings and onboarding in this modern and easy way. Thank you very much for your time. It was a pleasure, and have a great day. Bye.